I'm always a student and I'm always here to learn something from every artist. There is something which makes me think of music, of a certain bowls, which is a language of tabla. And as soon as I wake up, there is some supreme energy in this, some,
Part of your consciousness almost.
yes, part of my consciousness. Hello everyone, I'm Ojas Adhiya. I'm a tabla player. And this is Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing.
My name is Abhay, and I share conversations with talented and interesting individuals linked to the global Indian and South Asian community. It's informal and informative, adding insights to our evolving cultural expressions, where each person can proudly say, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing. You know, if you were getting introduced to Indian classical or light classical music today, you'd likely need a crash course in rag and tal and the science behind melody and rhythm, a bit of recent history, maybe, of some contemporary masters, and a window into the present state of this living art as it sort of stands today. And maybe right now, at least, there is no better way to get introduced to that intersection of past, present, and future than to spend some time with tabla artist Ojas Adhiya. Ojas is truly a lifelong learning tabla virtuoso, having studied and trained from a very early age, growing up around renowned masters of a variety of instruments and genres, has definitely allowed him to showcase his technical mastery, spontaneity, and expression to a global audience on some of the world's most prestigious stages. He's elevating and evangelizing the meaning of rhythm in the world of music. And most importantly, he's here with us, sharing some time and conversation tonight and today. Ojas, thank you so much for joining me today. What a treat.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. Such a pleasure to connect with you, sir.
You know, so it's evening my time and morning your time, and
Yes.
we're both ending and starting our days in delightful ways, at least right now. I had to ask you, from the moment you awaken, of course, when perhaps does the tabla actually enter your world on, say, a daily basis?
So, tabla always remains in my heart.
Yeah.
So, I exactly don't know when it enters, but it always stays. The thinking process, the learning process is always on. I'm always a student and I'm always here to learn something from every artist and from every individual. So the process is on all the time. It never stops, I guess. Before I sleep, there is something which makes me think of music, which makes me think of a certain bowls, which is a language of tabla.
Yeah.
And as soon as I wake up, I mean, there is some supreme energy in this, some power, there's some blessing of Almighty, which, naturally I get into that mode and
Part of your consciousness almost.
yes, part of my consciousness.
Yeah. Do you have a routine that you follow at all? Sometimes, if it's
Uh,
part of your consciousness, it pervades your whole day, or and then for others, they actually like that routine or that structure of practice, perhaps.
yes, there is, whenever I'm in town, whenever I'm in Mumbai, whenever I'm at home,
Yeah.
there is a routine which I follow regularly, and that is my personal riyaz, my
Mm,
personal practice, which happens in the morning.
yeah.
And it has become my day-to-day routine, right? Same way, like for us, getting up in the morning, following some kind of exercises,
Right.
then,
Right.
having your breakfast, going for a walk or whatever. Similarly, I sit for my practice as soon as I finish with all these formalities
Yeah.
and day-to-day routine. And that has become a regular, natural flow of the day for me.
Mm, yeah.
If I'm not able to sit for my riyas for some reasons, I feel, that discomfort in my mind.
It's almost strange.
Yeah, and somewhere I feel that, okay, I'm not okay today. I mean, there is
Yeah.
something missing, there is something lacking in my day to day.
Mm.
So that's when I realized that, okay, I have to somehow, make sure that I sit every day. Of course, when I'm traveling, then I'm, practicing mentally every
Right.
day.
It's the consciousness.
That's the consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I've asked others this. Do you have an actual favorite time of day to sit either to practice or perform?
Yeah. For me, especially, my most favorite time would be later in the night
Mm. Yeah. It,
when I'm mentally absolutely relaxed. There are no phone calls, there are no messages, there are no
right.
emails,
No distractions.
no distractions from anybody
Yeah.
or from anything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I imagine that there's a strange comfort and peace without
there
any
is
distractions, right?
certainly, and
Yeah.
to be it doesn't matter how much time you give,
Mm. Right.
but it's just the quality time.
Yeah.
It's just you with your own instrument, that connection.
Yeah.
It has to be the connection between your instrument. That could be even for 5 minutes. That could be even for, uh, you know, 5 hours.
Right.
If you're
Right.
not connected, that 5 hours are not going to change anything.
Mm. So, in that way, do you sometimes some people feel that whether it's 5 seconds or 5 hours, if they don't have that constant consciousness of the instrument, then they might need the 5 hours to feel that connection. But for you, it sounds like that connection is always on.
It's always on. The thing is, the way I have been brought up, my father noticed the talent in me, and I was never forced or asked to do anything. It just happened very naturally.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's a God gift, a grace of Almighty, that it happens naturally. And of course, special mention here is to thank my guru who taught me how to begin your riyaz when I was a kid. There has to be some kind of a system where you should follow,
Yeah.
a systematic way of practicing, which
Right.
is very important initially,
Yeah.
right? So Mridangaraji, my Guruji, who I've learned from since my childhood.
Yeah.
Of course, at home, my father, would always, sit with me whenever I was, I mean, whenever I felt like playing at that time, he would
Yeah.
always sit around me and just observe me what I'm doing.
Mm. I would imagine that some of that structure, that companionship, that support
Yeah,
allows for the consciousness to always be there and therefore make it so that whether it's 5 seconds or 5 hours, it feels quite natural.
it does. It
Yeah.
does.
Let me ask you one thing. You've of course been around tabla and music your whole life, and
Yeah.
having your guruji, having the support system, growing up with an upbringing that celebrated music and
Hmm.
art, and in a way, kind of let the talent blossom and allow it some nurturing and soil to grow. Right? You would think that one would potentially, in your case, that hasn't happened, but others might get over inundated with the art and they wouldn't find peace or balance because they're focused so much on one particular aspect of their lives, but they haven't found balance elsewhere. But I'm
Hmm.
wondering, are there ever times that, like you mentioned, some days when you haven't sat for the that you sometimes miss it, you feel strange. Do you feel sometimes the opposite, where the pangs of balance in other areas are also calling to you as well? Or has that somehow been made up through the different aspects of focusing and practicing on tabla?
I guess somehow it has helped me to think better
Mm,
musically.
yeah,
Because how should I say this? That craving of coming back to music,
yeah, yeah.
that intention of, okay, now I have to do something, I have to sit, I want to play, you know,
Mm,
that inspires me to come up with something different.
Right. Right.
This is what I have observed in me. But it doesn't mean that I should stop playing every morning.
Right.
But this is
Yeah. I don't think you're going to escape that, right? No, but
yeah,
even with that same level of consciousness, where it allows you to actually think differently and even look at the world a
yeah,
little bit differently, have
yeah.
there been times when you have said, "Wow, I'm missing out on something else at all"?
Uh, Not really,
Yeah,
not really.
yeah,
There was an instance where I had not played for a couple of days,
yeah.
and I was just sitting very quietly, just before going. I mean, I was just sitting quietly before going off to bed. I don't know what happened. There was this composition which was very, very well known and
Mm,
which was popularized by great stalwarts of tabla. And I've been playing that composition for a while. My Guruji had taught me. And I don't know what happened. I started reciting those compositions, and there was a thing which happened very naturally and which sounded very different.
mm. Okay.
Some elements in those compositions which came up very naturally to me, which were never been heard before by anybody. And I was like, okay, there is some force, there is some energy which is guiding me, right?
Yeah,
I observed that thing happening, and then I was like, okay, let's practice this and let's see how it sounds. And I feel sometimes that space, that silence, that break for a while is also very important.
yeah. It helps you focus. It helps you
It
really,
helps you focus. Yeah,
recalibrate, if you will. So,
right.
in that same way, do you ever have tabla dreams? Do you have bandish dreams where you wake up and it's been,
Um,
you are like, wow,
Sometimes,
yeah,
yeah, sometimes. Like I was on the flight and uh, I was sleeping, and as soon as I
mm,
woke up, there was some tune, a musical tune, which was going on in my mind, and I could feel that I'm actually, humming it.
mm, yeah,
So it happens because your mind is working, right? Your mind is
totally,
consciously into music.
yeah.
So there is a possibility that you are, getting into this mode most of the times.
Do you sometimes, I know others wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, I had this most amazing dream. I want to write it down, or I want to, live it because it's so fantastic and it's just
Yeah,
so wonderful. But then it's hard to remember exactly what it
it's
was.
it's sometimes it's very hard to remember,
Yeah.
but sometimes they, of course, stay in your heart
Yeah. Yeah.
and they stay in your mind and
It'll manifest someplace.
special. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when you think about it positively, it just happens.
When you practice or you perform, is tabla an escape for you, or rather a bridge and an accelerator to connection with others? And granted, that happens when you're performing with an audience, maybe both of those, but
Mhm.
particularly when you're actually with performing with another artist, does it require actually some balance between being an escape and also that connection that you get with others?
It's certainly a connection with others.
Mm,
Tabla for me is the medium of a huge, huge a connection with other artists,
yeah,
especially when I'm accompanying them. I would say a bridge of love and connection,
sure,
right? Because I'm known for who I am, right? That love, that affection from others have really, helped me to grow better in life. That love and affection has helped me to connect with them
sure, yeah.
musically.
And I wonder if that same level of affection and respect and love that you have for the art and for the artists,
Right,
um, when you're in whether it's a very very large concert hall or an audience of no one, right?
right, right.
In a way, does that matter? I mean, the audience is certainly a major part of it, and yet sometimes the artists are in this state of almost isolation, so much
Right.
so that what they do is so mesmerizing. It has, I've heard other people describe it as this kind of like state of ecstasy where you're just lost. And
Yeah. Yeah.
when you feel that, it's kind of undescribable, I guess. But is that the
It is.
escape that sometimes the artists really crave?
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah,
Because uh you know what? The energy what we get from the audience that makes a performance better. If you have a very, very receptive audience, of course that's going to add a lot more to your performance, right?
sure.
And supposing if I'm playing at say the town hall in New York, with ever enthusiastic audience, and that energy, people clapping, people cheering you up, that's definitely going to add more to your performance.
Sure.
At the same time, if I'm playing at a baitak,
Hmm.
like a very, very small,
Intimate.
intimate setting,
Yeah.
having just 50 to 60 people in the hall, in a small hall, that's going to connect very differently.
Mm. And I guess the idea would be that hopefully the person who's in the Baitak Hall and the person who's in the town hall in New York feels the
Yeah,
same, with both of those performances.
right, right, right. There is a difference. If people clapping for you has a different response, and if people are saying dil se, ah, kya baat hai,
Right.
that is
Right.
different.
Yeah. And that
Yeah,
that is a different relationship as you're on stage as well, I'm sure.
it is,
Yeah.
certainly,
Yeah.
certainly.
When
And of course,
compared,
the
yeah.
mahal, the energy of the auditorium or the hall or the people, that really
Yeah.
matters a lot.
Do you so I have two questions. I mean,
Hmm.
thoughts that just came to mind. I mean, compared to when you were younger, or even I've asked this to other artists before. Do you ever get stage fright?
I still do.
Yeah.
Even if I started very, very early, I gave my first performance when I was 4, and that was in my, um, you know, hometown, Akot, in Maharashtra.
Yeah.
But I was 4 years. I had no idea what was happening. I was holding my mother's hand, and she was taking me on the stage, and I was like, okay, I just have to go and just play.
Yeah.
But
Which is by the way what children
now,
do, right? I mean, that's a playful
I mean, they just
item.
follow what their parents
That's
are,
right.
doing for them,
Yeah.
and there's no fear, there's no,
Yeah.
there's only one focus that okay, I have to go and play. That's it.
There's actually no sense of judgment.
There's no sense of judgment. I was just
Yeah.
coming to that.
Yeah.
I have no fear of what people are going to think about you, how are they going to judge you or anything.
Right.
But today, I mean, there has never been a moment where I have, not prayed to Almighty, and
Mm.
I have always thought of my guru, my father,
Yeah.
and and I've just prayed that okay, whatever happens, please
Right.
take care of it,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And I feel that fear is also very important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're too confident, if you're overconfident, that makes it difficult for an artist,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Almost this good sense of humility with it. I was going to also ask that, compared to when you were younger, how is listening to music, in fact, evolved for you? And does that evolution in how you listen to music, does it actually help you manage your learning and even how you correct your mistakes?
Certainly, certainly,
Yeah.
certainly. So this has been my childhood practice of listening,
Yeah.
right? I've always been taught of that listening is also a way of learning. You learn a lot, and since music directors Kalyanji Bhai, Anandji Bhai, I was with them. I used to perform with them for Little Wonders.
Mm. Yeah.
And whenever I went to Kalyanji uncle's house, he always used to tell me that, listening is also very important. Similarly with my guru, Mridangradji. He
Yeah.
always taught me that, okay, listen to this classical, performances of great stalwarts, so many other tabla players. So I used to listen a lot. And then having my talim, whatever talim my guru has given to me, I used to apply in my way.
Yeah.
That really helps. Even today, I take out time to listen to all these great masters. There is always a learning experience as a musician because I guess that will never stop.
Does your ear pick up different things now that you're actually looking for,
It
that
does.
right, that weren't there when you were younger, and now you just have that much more experience and wisdom, and yes, you're still learning, but you perhaps are listening a little bit differently today.
Yeah, I mean, in today's time, there is always a scope of new things, and people are waiting for you to do something different, right?
Mm,
They want something new every time,
yeah,
and that's the reason I wanted to come up with a couple of projects,
yeah,
right? And by God's grace, thanks to Almighty, that it has helped me to work over it and to present it to the audience because see, tabla as a solo instrument is so rich.
yeah.
It's just not an accompanying instrument. It has been evolved, you know, in so many years. There has, there are so many concerts I have attended of all these great masters. I got inspired of, presenting tabla in a different way
Mm, yeah,
with with the symphony, tabla
right,
with the symphony, which was my single released a couple of years back. And we recorded the symphony in Chennai with the Chennai Strings Orchestra
yeah,
with the help of my dear friend Alap Desai, who's a music director, who composed the symphony for me. And we released it a couple of years back, which was very, very well received by the audience. And then later, just a couple of months back, I collaborated with two amazing dholak players. So, of course, keeping the tabla as a main instrument, I wanted to just, explore more ideas on that and to give something different to the audience,
and
which is very important in today's time.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, that evolution is hopefully allowing for there to be this great balance between, what is evergreen and,
Right.
always, changing, and that
And
which
that
has rich
also,
heritage.
yeah, and that also defines the scope of tabla, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, tabla has been used in classical, basically, then it has been used for Indian film industry
Yeah.
and
So many
so
different
many other
arrangements.
genres for
Yeah.
ghazals, for thumri, for Sufi, for qawwali, and then
Oud.
later jazz,
Yeah.
blues, fusion. Of course, fusion has been happening for many, many
So,
years
so
now.
long. Yeah. And I wanted to find out, so because of all these, I wouldn't even say experiments. I mean, great projects, right? Whether they be
Right,
Shakti, whether they be orchestral arrangements, so
right,
many different ways in which tabla can enter the world of music in so many different
right.
arena.
Mhm,
Tabla enthusiasts who are new, or who might be first enjoying tabla, many of them will equate speed and precision to be the only markers of skill. Maybe for someone who is not necessarily a master and a
mhm.
novice in this, right? I'm curious from your vantage point, what else actually is going into a as a not only just a master artist, but someone who,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, listens so carefully. What else goes into a complete or a masterful tabla performance? And I imagine that vocabulary, again, it changes and evolves depending on the kind of arrangement it is. But
Right.
in your eye, is for someone who doesn't necessarily know, what else other than the speed and the precision makes a tabla performance really complete and rich?
See, as far as my knowledge is concerned, and how much I've learned from my gurus and from how much I've got inspired from all these great masters.
Yeah.
A musicality is very important.
Mm.
There is a term called a swar gyan,
Yeah.
which is which is also, a basic understanding of music.
Right. That
A sur,
knowledge.
knowledge, basic knowledge of ragas are also very important being a tabla player. I would like to give you an example. Say I had an opportunity of performing with the great Ustad Rashid Khan Sahib for so many
Mm.
years now.
Yes.
He was a genius. He was a master,
Absolutely.
and and how much I have got to sit with him, to understand his music, to understand his nature.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot from him musically. At the same time, I have played with so many other musicians, also vocalists who are instrumentalists.
Sure.
But if I'm playing with Rashid Khan Saab, the style of his singing, I'll have to accompany according to what's his requirements are, right? It's not going to be that, okay, I've thought of a couple of things today, I've got thought of a couple of compositions, and I'm going to go and just, you
Right.
know,
Zoom off on your own. Yeah.
yeah. First of all, I'll have to understand the nature of the artist on that particular day.
Yeah.
I have to understand what kind of a raga he's playing or she's playing. I have to understand whether that raga is allowing me to go and play solo in between the compositions or no.
Yeah.
Uh, the combination of the sur, that scale, doesn't allow me. And if I'm forcing myself to play a
Mm.
long, full-fledged solo, that's gonna make the performance go nowhere.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out.
Right.
And me being a tabla player, I have to make sure that I am supporting the main artist
Mm.
completely
Yeah.
so that the main artist is comfortable, right? Other way around, if I'm playing with somebody who is like showing so much of virtuosity in singing or playing, there I have to make sure that I'm following up
Right.
perfectly so as to match with his or her music because that is what is required, right?
Yeah. It's a synchrony. It's a harmony.
Yes,
It's a integration, however way you want to
exactly.
put that. But it sounds
Exactly.
like that experience, that relationship, that vocabulary that you share
Right.
has to be one that allows both artists to then really kind of be complementary, and therefore be complete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So as a jump off from that, that means that there are performances where you have to kind of identify the tone and the temperature of how that performance is going, and where you can
Absolutely.
actually be speeding up or slowing down. Now, in an era where digital music and
Hmm.
AI and
Yeah.
all these things are really ever present everywhere, do those have does AI and digital music have a role to play as classical Indian music again evolves, especially with new audiences?
I haven't really thought of it, to be honest. There are ifs and buts. There are, of course, advantages and disadvantages on this.
Yeah.
But I feel what a musician can create, it's something unique.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything else. Um,
I think
and
that's enough. you
that's
know
enough. I
yeah.
just wanted to mention one thing. And, of course, a digital platform is growing so fast
Yeah.
that I'm sure like we being a musicians are of course always uh, you know attracted to such things.
Sure.
But that is producing what has been injected. AI
Mm,
is producing what has been injected on that particular digital
sure.
what do you call
Just the whole
system.
repository. Yeah, the system.
Yeah,
Sure.
right. What we have been injected is the knowledge
Yeah.
and the ability to create something natural and the ability to create something different,
Mm.
which I feel a machine can't.
Yeah. Um, and
I don't know
you,
if I'm sounding right or wrong, but this is
no,
my way of understanding.
absolutely. And the interesting part is that we are living in a, world where the power of AI to duplicate art
Yeah.
is growing in leaps and bounds every day.
Yeah, I was just sitting with one of uh, my friends recently, and I got to know that AI can create its own music,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So I just have to, you know, tell AI that, okay, listen, I'm thinking of producing a song which, you know, contains Indian classical flavor along with a
Yeah.
jazz
Yeah.
element,
And I want it in Dadra Theka, right?
and so on.
Right.
And within a couple of seconds, it creates something. It's there for you, right? But I was just thinking that is this a creativity?
Mm,
It's just your thought process of what do you want, but
right.
eventually you're getting it ready made, which is not we've expected
Yeah.
being a musician,
Right.
right?
And the effort, in a way, there's the appreciation for the effort and almost even the imperfection that's involved with
Right,
that, because it's
right.
the little imperfections that we value as humans, even. Let me ask a slightly different question. I mean, we talked a little bit about tradition and legacy. That's such an important part of this as well. And almost
Yeah,
the respect and reverence that you have, right? I mean, you're from the Ajarada Gharana, and there's such a respect that's placed with that. And with that idea of reverence to Guru and our upbringing and our parents, not only just as artists, but as people, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
how do you, we kind of touched on this, but how do you balance that reverence for tradition with the real innovation and the evolution and presenting tabla with an orchestral arrangement or as a jazz piece?
Right,
But especially to keep it relevant and expansive and scaling to new audiences, because at the
right.
end, right? I mean, this is the world of discovery of tabla lives
It
in
is
those areas, right?
certainly. Yeah. So as I mentioned that, I wanted to create something with the symphony, right?
Yeah,
Me being a student of Ajrada Gharana, I mean, I've started learning at a very, very young age. So that tradition is always there. But I wanted to create something on the basis of tradition, keeping the tradition in mind and keeping the aesthetic sense of traditional tabla in mind.
yeah,
Whether I'm creating it with the symphony, whether I'm playing a ghazal, whether I'm playing a thumri, or whether I'm playing any other genres.
anything. Yeah.
So when it came to a symphony, I had one thought very, very clear in mind that I'll follow the tradition of tabla along with the symphony orchestra treatment, which is new to the audience,
Mm, yeah.
right? And I am not doing anything which distracts the tradition or the aesthetic sense of traditional tabla playing. And that has really helped me to explore the different elements of tabla. Say like we as a classical traditional tabla solo, we have this uthan, we have peshkars, we have fixed
Right.
compositions which are known as kaidas,
Yeah.
and then we come up with different ideas with kaidas. And there are relas, then there are chakradars and tukdas and so on.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wanted to keep the this format as it is and having the symphony along with uh, this treatment.
Now I have to ask you, the
Mhm.
purist
Yeah.
would say that even that kind of expression strays away from, the gharana, and
Mhm.
now just even the matter of playing with a symphony or playing in a jazz creation, whether it's a qaida or it's a any of these expressions, right? It's straying from the pure version of that, and now
Yeah.
you've created potentially an adhiya gharana. um,
No, no, not at
right,
all.
so
No,
where
you
do
know,
different people have different boundaries for this as to what is pure and what's not?
yeah, yeah, but it's up to you what you present,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Recently, I was
And you have to be
playing with.
comfortable with that, by the way,
You
right?
have to comfortable. You have to be really comfortable with that, and I'm sure that whatever you're going to present, people will listen to it.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
See, the basic and very, very prominent tala in tabla is teen tal,
Yeah.
which is a 16 beat rhythm cycle. And recently, in one of our concerts, I was playing with Shri Rakesh Chaurasia ji, a
Mm,
flute maestro.
yeah. A
And
former guest on this podcast, too. Yeah,
yeah, a former
yeah,
guest on this
yeah,
podcast. So I'm sure he will like this.
yeah,
So we were playing at a gathering, and they were not, the audience was not so classically inclined,
yeah,
but they were good audience.
yeah.
They were very good listeners. And I just asked him what are we going to play? And I thought he's going to play Tintal, which is very easily connected, right? I mean, it's easy to connect with the audience because
Right.
of,
It's very listener friendly.
yes, it's a listener friendly. So he said, let's do one thing. The time is short. Let's play Mattatal, which is 9 beat rhythm cycle. I was like, okay, it's an odd tal. I don't
Yeah,
know how audience is going to take this.
yeah.
But he started off and he, you know, asked me to play a short solo. People were actually enjoying it.
Mm, yeah.
And the audience actually started playing in that particular pattern which I was playing, and they were enjoying it.
Mm,
And I was quite surprised. And I was like, okay, now he's inspired me to, you know, cross my boundaries
yeah.
and do something different.
Right. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, come out of your comfort zone and come up with something different. And I'm sure if you're positive enough, if you have that ability to, you know, connect with the audience, I'm sure people will get connected with you.
Now, in that same way, right? I've heard you talk before about your guru reminding you to be in the moment at all times,
Right,
right? Now,
right,
you've
right.
performed with dozens, hundreds of different artists, masters, people who are prominent in their communities and their genre of art. So, with the riyaz, with the practice, the preparation, the study, the listening, how do you actually practice or prepare or train to be spontaneous and in the moment and tuned in and ready to express yourself, sometimes in, again, situations where you are not necessarily as comfortable with, and you haven't prepared for, but still the idea and the real kind of like engine that drives
See,
this is being in the moment?
yeah, see, for a tabla player or for any musician, it's important for us to, understand the artist you're playing with.
Yeah.
I have to understand the nature of the artist
And
and
therefore yourself, I'm imagining too.
therefore myself, of
Yeah.
course, and I have to understand where this artist is coming from, his nature.
Yeah.
Is he serious?
Playful.
Is he jovial? Is he playful? And that makes me understand his music as well.
Mm, yeah.
Sometimes, I have my own band, right?
Yeah.
We play a lot together. And whenever we, plan for a rehearsal before a show, we always talk about food. We always talk about, okay, what happened? on this particular day, and what happened on that particular day, and so on, right? So
Right.
we never talk about music. We talk about everything else.
Only, yeah. Which keeps it loose. Yeah. And maybe
Yeah,
in a
and
way
which
that's a great way to practice surprises and spontaneity.
yeah, and then when we actually start playing, it just flows, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that's the connection our artist should have. And that's how you're gonna show your affection towards the other artist, the understanding you've built in so many years.
Let me ask you something. Speaking of affection and for an artist and connection to an artist, we were so sad this last year to lose Zakir ji. I'm
Yeah,
just curious if you have a favorite Zakir ji moment or a story that makes you always smile when you remember him, and maybe
yeah.
something that might be surprising to others.
You know, I had an opportunity to play for Ustad Allah Rakha Khan Saab's Guru Purnima. This
Mm,
was in 2019 here
okay.
at YB Chawan in Bombay.
Yeah.
And Fazal ji invited me to play my solo. And I was like, okay, this
Right.
is great. And it's a
Yeah.
blessing to even go and offer my,
Of course.
Hazri. And of course, when I reached there, there were so many great tabla players. Of course, there was Zakir ji sitting in the audience. And as soon as I got onto the stage, the first thing I did was I went down where Zakir ji was sitting. I took his blessings.
Yeah.
He had a flower, a bouquet in his hands. As soon as I touched his feet, he hugged and said, "Here, this is for you." It's like I used to call him uncle. I said, "Uncle, this is for you, right?" I mean, of course, I would receive it. I would like accept it with all the love and affection from you,
Yeah.
but this is for you. Mm. So he said, "Yes, but now it is for you."
Right. Generous in the
And I was
moment.
like, generous in the moment. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is such a blessing, right?
Yeah.
And he made me so comfortable. And that fear of having a great stalwart, a genius of tabla sitting in front of you and listening to you, you know, that action of his made me so comfortable. And by the grace of Almighty, whatever I could play, you know, it helped me to do better.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. And, the energy, the positive energy, he shared it with so many other musicians.
Sure.
That is very important to have such kind of a feeling,
Right.
especially when it comes from such a great
And it's
stalwart.
it's such a trust accelerator. You build so
Yeah,
much confidence,
it
and then
does.
that you pay that forward to your audience. You pay that forward to other artists as well.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
the idea of that is just so sweet, and of course, an important one for us to remember. Let me finish with this. We're at
Yeah,
the in the midst of the Ganesh Chaturthi festival
right,
around this time
right.
of year, and so
Yeah.
we're always thinking of knowledge and new beginnings and breaking barriers and obstacles. So I'm curious, in that spirit, what brings you optimism and
Hmm.
openness as a tabla artist right now?
Yeah. I feel the music is something which opens your heart, first of all.
Yeah.
I have been taught of always give yourself, open yourself, and that has reflected in my playing.
Mm,
Whenever I'm playing at a concert or whenever I'm sitting for my riyaz, I always want to make sure that I'm playing better than yesterday,
mm. Yeah.
right? So either I'll listen to my own recording sometimes and maybe make some corrections and give a different thought to my playing. maybe come up with something new. And of course, we always learn something or the other every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I listen to so many other musicians, right? That really help inspires me to do better
Mm.
every time. So whether it is jazz or whether it is classical, whether it is fusion or whether, any form of music. I was listening to Lataji. The precision, the perfection she had in every single note, in every single, you know,
In every
sur,
phrase. Yeah,
every
every
phrase,
yeah.
every note, and whatever, and because she always sang for Bollywood, right? Or for say like a bhajan or for any other genres. It has been always simple. Singing has always been very simple, which has helped to get her connected with the audience, right?
Mm.
That inspired me to have that musicality in my playing and to have that virtuosity wherever is required and not all the time.
Yeah. Well, blending simplicity with virtuosity is not an easy task, and
Not at all.
you do it so well, and yet with such humility and with incredible motivation and optimism for learning and constantly getting
Thank you.
better. Well, just thank you so much for joining us for a conversation. This was really a treat. I feel like we could
Thank
have
you,
talked for a
Abhayji.
lot longer.
Yeah, maybe we can plan it out when I come to US.
I was just gonna say we'll save it for next time. But again, thank you
We
so much for
sure.
joining.
Thank you so much, Abhayji. Such a wonderful to connect with you. And thank you for taking your time and connecting with me.
You're listening to Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing. Stay tuned.